How is anyone supposed to work a full-time job, juggle side projects, exercise, see family or friends, and still get enough sleep? It feels impossible, yet every evening you catch yourself doom scrolling, watching valuable hours vanish. That scrolling or procrastination isn't just a bad habit, it's your brain seeking relief from all the unfinished business. The project you've been ignoring, the meeting follow-up you postponed, the book you were meant to read. Each loose end is an open loop, wanting your attention and keeping you wired long after your workday ends. On top of that, after spending the entire day giving into everyone else's demands, your brain craves control. So it goes for the simplest freedom it can find, whether that's a scroll through social media or a couple of episodes of your favorite show. I'm Salim, a full-time doctor living in London, but I also use my time to run this YouTube channel, go to the gym, practice piano, and do a lot more. And I never burn out. What I've learned is that wasted evenings aren't a matter of laziness or fatigue. They're stolen by unresolved mental clutter and a lack of self-direction. So in this video, I'll share 4 different strategies to close these open loops you have so that you can do what I do and focus your time on what's actually important. Each strategy builds on the last and tackles a different dimension of similar problems. So stick around until the end, because one strategy might not actually work for you, but it's very likely that another one of the 4 will. So first, think about your morning routine. An alarm, a shower, breakfast, a commute. Everything is planned out. Now compare that to your evenings. No alarm, no plan, just a blank slate. With nothing simple or a preset routine to fall back on, your brain defaults to the path of least resistance, which is usually lying down and scrolling on your phone. Week 1 of aimless scrolling feels harmless, by week 2 it's a habit, and by week 3, binge watching until midnight becomes part of your identity. In that short space of time, breaking that cycle becomes bigger than just a matter of willpower, because it feels like you have to change your whole identity. And if you remember back to those unfinished tasks I mentioned earlier, they're still in the background. The report you never finished, the email you still have to send, or the book you need to read. Each of these open loops quietly drains your mental energy, making it harder to fully unwind. But there's a simple solution to all of this, and that's building a 2-minute shutdown ritual that becomes your new default mode. Every evening, write down 3 things: what you completed today, what's still pending, and your single top priority for tomorrow. I've done this in some form for over a year, and just seeing these things clearly stops them from clogging up mental space. That reclaimed headspace gives you clarity where you can either handle some of those tasks today or intentionally schedule them for tomorrow without guilt. Personally, I aim to keep a balance so that I don't overload any one evening. This simple ritual turns a messy, default evening into a clear and calm one, giving you back control instead of letting the night slip away. Now that you've cleared the mental clutter and given your evening some structure, you might feel like you've earned some rest, but not all rest actually resets you. Think about your usual wind down habits: YouTube shorts, Netflix binges, TikTok scrolls. They all feel like downtime, but they're actually flooding your brain's dopamine system. That kind of stimulation leaves you wired, not calm. And it's why you might lie awake in your bed at night, mind racing and unable to switch off. A big part of this problem is that your brain never gets a clear signal that the workday is over. So just as how you have alarms to start your day, you need a wind down trigger to help your brain shift into a recovery mode. This shouldn't be anything complicated, it just needs to be simple and repeatable. For me, it's usually one of 3 things: a hot shower and change into comfortable clothes, a short walk outside, or a few minutes of journaling. The key is timing. Do this as soon as you walk in the door and before the urge to scroll or binge kicks in. Once your brain learns this cue means the day is done, you'll find it easier to let go of tension and shift into rest. That way, you're deliberately falling into a healthier state instead of falling into a dopamine loop of going on your phone. And from there, you can use your evenings however you like, whether it's to recharge, to relax, or even work on something that matters to you. But now it's a conscious choice, not just an autopilot response. So while the first strategy gives your mind structure and closure, the second gives your body the signal it needs to shift gears. And together, they stop your evenings from being stolen by default, turning them into something you can actually enjoy or use intentionally. So now that you've got structure and wind down cues in place to stop wasting your evenings, the next mistake is thinking you're recovering when really you're just relieving pressure. Because not everything that feels restful actually restores you. Maybe you collapse onto the sofa for hours, snack mindlessly, or rewatch a TV series. It feels like winding down, but a few hours later, you still feel heavy or restless. That's because most of what we call relaxing is actually just relief. It helps you escape discomfort, but it doesn't reset you or rebuild energy. And when your brain doesn't get a proper reset, it crashes. You go to bed late, sleep poorly, and wake up feeling worse. So that short-term relief turns into long-term burnout. Real recovery is different because it's about reversing stress instead of the typical act of seeking relief and escaping stress. For me, real recovery might be 10 minutes of meditation, an hour at the gym, going for a walk, or seeing friends. An important point to realize is that recovery isn't always comfortable immediately. It might take a little effort, like with the examples I've mentioned, but the after effect is that you finish feeling lighter and more energetic. And that's the simplest way I tell the difference in myself. If something leaves me feeling drained or numbed, it was a relief. If it feels me feeling focused or energized, that's recovery. And instead of cramming all of your recovery into one chunk of the evening, space it out. One small activity between other tasks or transitions. I track how each thing I do makes me feel so that I'm actively aware of things that recharge me and what things don't. Because that feedback helps to build a recovery routine that's actually sustainable, helping you keep on going. So figure out what your recovery actions are, be deliberate with them, and let them re-energize your evening. And now, before the next point, if you're interested in one-to-one coaching with me, visit my website linked in the description. I've helped over 40 clients build sustainable systems to improve their productivity, studying, and stress management. The goal isn't quick fixes. I'm here to help you build habits and systems so solid that you won't need coaching ever again. So if you want coaching or want to learn more, check out the link in the description. And now, even with structure, wind down cues, and proper recovery, you might still find yourself wasting the evening. But it's not because you're lazy. You're wasting it because you're trying to escape the version of yourself that showed up all day. Maybe you procrastinated, people pleased, avoided hard things, or felt like you weren't really in control. So by the time the evening comes, you don't want to be present, because being present means facing that version of yourself. So instead, you do what's immediately easier and check out. You scroll not because it's fun, but because it's a way to avoid your own reflection. But what I've realized is that even more important than willpower, discipline, or motivation is intention. After a structured, demanding day, your brain needs to feel some kind of freedom. But if you don't design that freedom on purpose, it defaults to the easiest version of it. So before your evening even begins, ask yourself this simple question. What does real freedom look like for me? And what can I do tonight that moves me towards it? When I ask myself that, I realized freedom means continuously improving and spending times on the things I care about, like making these YouTube videos to grow the channel and hopefully help more people, playing the piano to keep improving, or going to the gym to build physical and mental strength. When you define what looks like real freedom for you and break it into small, achievable steps, you give yourself a new set of default actions to fall into at evenings. And once you start acting with intention, you'll waste less time, because the emotional connection between your values and your actions becomes stronger than the urge to just check out and waste time. And the added benefit is that when you are using time more intentionally on meaningful things, your rest finally feels earned. All of this is going to give your evenings purpose again, because now you have a meaningful reason to stay intentional even after a full day of work. But there's one problem most people still run into. Even when you want to spend your evenings better, your phone steals it before you even notice. I realized that most of my screen time wasn't even intentional. It was just automatic behaviors that kept me stuck for hours without noticing. But I spent time creating a system that cut my screen time to under 30 minutes so that I can use my time more intentionally. And in this video here, I show you exactly how to reduce your screen time using a simple system so that you can finally take back control over your time. So click the video to learn more.